Okay, when you hear the word conqueror, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably these images of huge armies, cities in ruin, and kings who rule through sheer terror. But what if I told you there was a king, way back in ancient Persia, whose story completely flips that idea on its head? He's a figure whose legacy makes us ask a totally different kind of question. So let's get into it.
So you've got these two ideas, right? On one side, you have the conqueror. Their entire playbook is based on fear, destruction, and, well, oppressing people. And on the other side, you have the liberator, a person who brings justice, protection, and freedom. They seem like they're from totally different worlds, like oil and water. They just don't mix. Or so you'd think.
And that really sets up the big question we're tackling here today. Is it even possible? Can one person be both a conqueror and a liberator? To even begin to answer that, we've got to travel way back in time into the world of a young Persian king named Cyrus. All right, so to really get what made Cyrus so different, you have to understand the world he stepped into. It was a pretty brutal time, with some very clear, very harsh rules about how you get and keep power.
Back then, the playbook for any ruler was pretty simple and pretty ruthless. It was all about hoarding wealth and controlling people with force. Success? That was all about how big your army was, how much gold was in your vault, and how many nations you had under your boot. A really straightforward and, yeah, a super cruel way of looking at things.
And the number one tool in that playbook, it wasn't about earning respect or loyalty. Nope, it was all about fear, plain and simple. That was just how things were done. I mean, this was the standard advice of the time. In fact, his own advisors told him, "Great king, go conquer and rule with fear." That was the job description, you know? That was what everyone expected an ambitious king to do. But Cyrus, he heard all that advice, all that so-called wisdom, and he just wasn't buying it. He decided to go in a completely different direction. Why? Because he saw a huge flaw in their whole way of thinking.
Yeah, he was kind of a dreamer. Think about it. While every other ruler was looking at a map and seeing places to conquer, Cyrus was looking at it and imagining something totally different. He wanted an empire that wasn't held together by force, but by things like justice and unity.
And this quote right here, this sums it all up perfectly. This is what he told his advisors. He basically said, a kingdom built on fear never lasts. He just got it. He knew that fear gets you control in the short term, sure, but it will never, ever get you loyalty. And for his time, man, that was a wild idea.
Okay, so it's one thing to have these great ideas, right? But what did he actually do? Well, let's look at his most famous conquest, the mighty city of Babylon. This is where the story gets really interesting.
So picture this. His army marches into Babylon, which was this huge, incredible city. And everyone is expecting the worst. Looting, burning, the whole 9 yards. But instead, Cyrus rolls out this 3-part plan that just blew everyone's minds. First thing he does, he orders his soldiers, don't touch the city, don't harm the temples. Right off the bat, he wasn't there to destroy. He positioned himself as a protector. He saw Babylon for what it was, this amazing hub of culture.
And then he takes it up a notch. He frees the slaves, thousands of them. This famously included the Jewish people who'd been exiled there for ages. And on top of that, he says, hey, everyone is free to worship however they want. He didn't force his religion on anyone, he respected theirs.
Can you even imagine how shocking that must have been? The people of Babylon were prepared for absolute horror, and instead they got mercy and respect. I mean, they'd just been conquered, but they actually felt freed. Who had ever heard of a conqueror winning a war and then handing out rights? So, okay, this is a story from what, 2,500 years ago? Why are we still talking about it? Because what Cyrus did in Babylon, it didn't just stay in Babylon. It planted seeds for something so much bigger, something that would grow for centuries to come. Let's think about a concept we kind of take for granted today, human rights. You know, the idea that every single person is born with basic rights and freedoms. It's a fundamental part of our world now, but where did an idea like that even start?
Well, this is where it gets really mind-blowing. Historians look at this artifact called the Cyrus Cylinder. It's basically a record of his decrees, and they see it as one of the world's first ever declarations of human rights. Freedom from slavery, freedom of religion, all these things we fight for today, Cyrus was putting them into practice thousands of years ago, long before anyone even had a name for it.
So the people he ruled, they didn't see some scary tyrant. They saw a strong leader whose strength came from his wisdom, not his cruelty. And for that, he got this incredible title, the Lion of Persia. A symbol of power? Yeah, but a noble, just power.
But there's another name that stuck. One you've probably heard. We don't just call him Cyrus of Persia, we call him Cyrus the Great. And that title, the Great, it's not just about the battles he won. It's for the revolutionary idea he championed, that true greatness, true strength, comes from justice.
And that really leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it? The story of Cyrus makes you ask, what does it actually mean to be great? Is it about how much land you can grab, or is it about how much freedom you can give to people? Maybe, just maybe, real greatness isn't found in what you conquer, but in what you choose to set free.